We will open the room up at around the 40-minute mark to anyone who's keen to ask us any questions. So feel free to post them into X, LinkedIn, or YouTube. The next hour or so, my co-host Lei Xing and I will go over the week's most important and interesting news coming out of the global EV, AV, and mobility sectors. What Lei and I discuss today is based on our opinions and should not be taken as investment advice. For those that are new to the show, welcome. And to our loyal listeners and viewers, welcome back. We ask that you smash those subscribe and like buttons so you don't miss anything from us in the future. Lei and I are two of the most knowledgeable people in the world doing this, so help us get the word out about the show to others. My name is Tu Lee. I am the managing director at NIO Auto Insights, a global management consultancy that helps organizations bring innovative and tech-focused products and services to the transportation and mobility sectors. I write a free weekly newsletter that we pull many of our discussion topics from. You can sign up for it at sinoautoinsights.substack.com, which, of course, I encourage you all to do. Back in Beijing, Lei, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Good morning and good evening from my side. This is your co-host Lei Xing, former chief editor of China Auto Review. This is episode number 216. We're talking about the weather, sizzling hot. Oh, what happened? Are you backed out? Maybe we connect again.
Dude,
Connection problems?
did you?
I didn't do
We're
anything.
live. Are you
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I'm okay.
For some reason, something didn't work. So, anyways, it's working now. So,
Okay, it's
Lei, can
working
you
out. No,
please
as I
introduce
was
yourself?
saying, well, I'll do it again. This is your
Okay.
co-host Lei Xing, former chief editor of China Auto Review, and this is episode number 216.
I don't know
We're
what
good.
happened.
We're good, right?
So
Um,
you were always connected. It was me that.
yes,
Okay.
I think you got kicked out
Okay.
or you left. You exited
I got kicked
for the
out because I
reasons.
was like in mid speech and I didn't see you. So, anyways,
Yeah, and you were breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it was my side, but I know I got the Wi-Fi 7 thing, so it should not be on my side. Uh, I was talking about sizzling weather, but it's been a sizzling week. A few points. Jensen Huang was in Beijing this past week. Uh, Fireworks on the six seat, 3-row SUVs that came out like one after the other. And Waymo, Uber, Tesla are added um, in the robotaxi space on the other side of the world where you are. Uh, so it's never a dull day or moment. I got to check out some of the newest and the latest. I got to check out the U7. I was going to check out the i8 because they arrived in stores today, but I'll do that tomorrow. Uh, these products, right? Just
well,
relentless.
let's
Just
let's
keep
go
coming
over
after.
again, Lei. Let's go over again, Lei, really quickly. The U7 came out about 3 weeks ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the L90, the Onvo L90,
Yep.
also started delivery. The Li Auto i6, i8, which are battery electric vehicles. Li Auto is known historically as being an EREV company, with the exception of one MPV called the Mega, which is a little bit more expensive, 800,000, although it's cheaper now. 800,000 RMB is over $100,000 for an MPV in China, which is premium. And then what am I missing? I think there was
You you
a
well, we both missed maybe the
the
biggest
G7,
wild card, which is the Model YL.
the 3-row Model YL.
Yeah, it kind of crashed the party, right? It's like we'll see in the fall. That's the title of their push. Model YL. We'll see in the fall. Uh,
And
and
then there's
then
a
I,
standard range, longer range, standard range Model 3.
yeah. So I think it's kind of like Onvo L90. By the way, I was in Chongli for a test drive. That was interesting. It's big in every sense of the word, um, because we talked about it being a crucial product for NEO Group this year. A lot of potential, and then somehow that one day, a slew of these 3-row 6-seat pure fully electric SUVs were announced. i8, Model YL, new Ito M8, and the IML S9.
So
And I'm
is the
hearing
L8 an
even
EREV?
the which one?
The L8 from Ito, that's an EREV.
The M8.
I'm M8, sorry. I'm
It
getting
comes
all
in both.
confused with letters.
It comes in both EREVs and fully
Okay.
electric. So we're talking about the fully electric 3-row 6-seaters SUVs, which until now I think it's been the plugins and the EREVs. And suddenly there seems to be, in Li Bin's words, that he's trying to transition that or change that landscape with the L90, and then the i8, and then the other ones that are coming.
So mostly
Uh,
I won't say mostly, many of the Chinese EV makers that you and I talk about now offer both an EREV and a BEV version of vehicles in their product lineup, with the exception of NIO
yeah, and I think NIO is
and Tesla.
NIO and Tesla may be the only ones that are not going toward the EREV route. Xiaomi is coming out with the U9. Xpeng is coming out with a bigger EREV SUV later this year. But there seems to be this hope, this um, at least for the Onvo L90. I think the reason I'm calling it big is not only it's big for NIO, but it's big in that it's trying to be one of the first to break away from this hold of these plugins and the EREVs SUVs, the Li Auto L series, right? The Itos that have been on the market. Uh, that's the interesting kind of the side race that we're seeing
But let me ask you this:
emerging.
I'll be seeing you in Beijing in about 12 days, 11 days. But now that you have a chance to relax a little bit, because last time we were in Beijing, Shanghai, we were moving around a lot and not able
Yeah,
to relax at
yeah.
all. Outside, what are the brands you're seeing the most outside of BYD in Beijing?
Well, again, it seems I told you about Xi'an Tesla
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Same in Beijing. Li Autos, a lot of Li Autos. I'm
Which would
starting to,
make sense because Li Auto is in Beijing.
yeah, a lot of Leap Motors, and I'm starting to see more Onvos on the
Onvos,
roads.
okay.
And here and there, I saw a couple of Fireflies, but still very niche to nearly non-existent, at least in my area. Maybe there are more, but um, yeah,
I really
that's
like the Firefly. I would think you would be popular, but maybe not against a Leap motor or a BYD vehicle. So,
yeah. It's definitely not as popular as in terms of seeing them on the streets. Um, and then yeah, that's still these big name brands that I see the most. Um,
how's the event?
so you're talking about the Envo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
So hold on. Let's
there's
push
a
rewind. When
yeah.
was it? Where was it at? Was it a big
So
event? Small event?
I can talk about it because most of the picture specs have been released. Just not.
So you're
I saw some
technically
video.
under embargo?
I'm technically under embargo. So what
Okay.
I can say is L90 is ready for delivery. And I feel like the industry and the media are kind of pulling for NIO because most of the press have been impressed with the positioning. Because if you think about it, this vehicle at under 200,000 RMB is better deal compared to, let's say, an Xpeng G9, which is a 5-seater and priced more expensive. Um, and I just think it's NIO is due. Like we said last episode, that this I I see no reason why it can't do well, and it's got the mover advantage because it's set the price so low. The i8 is at 350 to 400,000. At least that's what they're saying. It's much more expensive. And then the other,
This at a
right?
time where the central government is really clamping down and browbeating provincial leadership on allowing price wars and things like that going on. The central government is really, really taking a stand, it seems, to try to stem this price war.
Yeah, so there's been some meetings, there's been some directives that come out the last few days. I think you don't see. We kind of, since I've been here, right? It's been tempered down a little bit. There's still price movement, but
And remember, we're in the middle of summer, so there's not going to be a lot of aggressive moves, with the exception of the surprising move from BYD in April, slashing prices on 20 of their 20-something products.
yeah. And then recently, Xpeng actually, He Xiaopeng, he actually showed that they were actually executing this agreement with suppliers, the 60-day, right?
And
So
the other thing that we should emphasize is that you're starting to see on social less about price, because every post used to be about price cuts or non-price cut price cuts. Now it's about features. It correlates with a bunch of companies launching new vehicles, but also it's like, hey, lifestyle, these are the features, these are the things that you can do in this car. So maybe that's their way of trying to differentiate themselves in the market a bit.
yeah, for example, I'm hearing from the media that attended the Onvo event, they were talking about the IA, and they said that there've been some stationary, what do you call it, previews for the media, and I'm hearing that they're saying this I series vehicles, the fit and finish are some of the softest, even more softer than the L and the Mega in terms
In
of
a
seating
good way
comfort.
or in a bad way?
I think in a good way.
Okay.
It's definitely different than the U7, which I sat in. It's a little bit different. Um, so, and I mean, the features, the seating arrangements, are exactly the same as the L90, but it's not
But
swappable, right? It's priced higher, so
but here's the debate, Lay, and let's have this conversation real quick. Let's have this talk real quick. Because early on, up until now, everything's about copying. Xpeng did this 3 months ago, so we're gonna have this feature. And maybe the seats kind of feel the same. The design, interior design is different, but not much different. And maybe this is where they're really starting to put effort into brand and differentiation, and so that's kind of the evolution. Let's get out of this price war where the only thing you don't care about my brand, you care about the latest features at the lowest price. And in order to get out of the price war, we have to really lean into how we're better, how we're different from a brand, and represent the brand in a significant way, in a consistent way. So maybe that seat is kind of this indication that these companies are really trying to separate themselves from a
And
positioning standpoint in the market.
and you see that from the social media of these CEOs, right? So Li Xiang was talking about whether they want to do a 3 hour long launch for the i8. Li Bin did a 3 hour pre-launch for the Onvo L90. Lei Xing
Xiaomi's are
talked
pretty long.
extensively for the U7. Um, and the pricing wise, uh, you know, it's a different strategy, tactics. But I think at least for Onvo L90, they threw down the gauntlet by having the BAS price below 200,000 RMB.
That
Uh,
is,
yeah,
I
that's
saw that and I thought that
yeah,
was a typo. That's
yeah.
amazingly aggressive. Amazingly aggressive.
For a 3 row, I set in the 3 row. It's actually quite comfy. Um, you
So
know,
let me ask you this: Tong L or L90?
I mean, you're putting me on the spot because I just came back
Because
from this.
the price is Chabodur.
Yeah, so
So
yeah, I'd probably go with the L90.
okay.
Yeah,
Now is that based on features, looks?
I think that they,
Because I know we have limited time with the
yeah,
L90 and the Tong L. So just kind of off the top.
uh, I think it's the ride handling and the comfort and the space of it.
Hmm.
Um, for families, I think that currently this family segment is seems to be taking off a little bit, especially the 3 row, fully
Well,
electric.
well, Lay at
You know,
200,000 RMB, there's a ton of value there.
what can you get in the US for 200,000 RMB? $30,000. You can't. There's no model even priced below 30,000 RMB.
It's less than
Dollars.
that with the exchange.
Yeah,
It's less than that. It's like
yeah,
27,000, I think.
yeah,
So
yeah. Uh,
it's
but
unbelievable.
the unbelievable part of it is, I think mentioning Jensen Huang being here. I think he was talking with
Is this his
the
third
real.
time this year?
I think at least, yeah, I think at least third time. Um, he mentioned something about one company comes out with something less than 24 hours later, somebody else will have the same thing. That's what he told Ren Hongbin, which is the chairman of the CCPIT. And then, right, you saw all the videos of him praising Chinese electric vehicles.
Where was he at?
He was at this media event, somewhere in like a courtyard.
Was it in Summer
Somewhere in
Palace?
Beijing.
Okay.
I don't know, but somewhere in Beijing. And then,
They said he was out there for over an hour answering questions.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he had the black T-shirt, right? He took off the jacket because it was too hot.
I didn't know 他不可以说中文.
He tried to deliver at least part of the opening speech of the supply chain expo in Chinese, and he was like, "I'm not going to torture you anymore. I'm going to go back to
Oh,
English."
so okay. For some
Yeah,
reason,
he
I
was
thought he was
speaking
fluent.
Chinese. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, he has all the interests in these EVs, right? Uh,
he is in full sales mode. He's in
yeah,
full, let's say, advocacy mode because he's battling Washington, D.C.,
I
first of
think,
all. Second of all, he knows NIO's on his heels, Xpeng's on his heels, Huawei's on his heels because they want to replace the Orin/Thor chip. And it's
yeah,
going to happen. He just wants to slow that down. And I think he's trying to show NVIDIA's commitment to the China market. So,
yeah.
but a lot of that stuff is a lot of those
I
factors are out of his hands.
I think he's played the part of diplomacy. Maybe we call it the AI diplomacy or chip diplomacy more so than Elon Musk, because we thought Elon Musk would be kind of the guy in the middle, right? Now Jensen has become the guy in the middle, and look at the stock price, right? They just passed the 4 trillion mark. I think they're probably gonna get to 5 trillion uh,
I don't
sometime. You
I
know?
don't want to say that Elon has given up on the China market, but it seems like he's fully committed to the Western markets, convincing the Western markets that Tesla is now an AI and
It-
robotaxi company.
if you look at the top 10, right? We saw the top 10 first half, the leading NEV models. Tesla Model Y was the only, I think, was the only foreign brand on that list, top 10. And by this time next year, it might still have a chance to be in the top 10. I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but somehow they both Tesla and Xiaomi just has that aura, like because when they announce something, the competitors will take a look at it and even Li Xiang and Li Bian, right? They retweeted on Weibo, humble bragging, right? That's a word that I learned from you, saying this is respectable move by Tesla. I think you would get a good deal with it, but if you want a 5-seater, wait for the i6, right? They're kind of like that. But I think they recognize
It's
and
like a
respect
backhanded
Tesla.
compliment.
Yeah, yeah. But
Good
at least,
job, but I'm better.
go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's like saying good job, but we're better.
Yeah, I mean, we're better, basically, without
Yeah.
saying we're better. uh,
And this on the backdrop, so let's see here. Hold on a second. Appreza, and I'd written this in my newsletter as well, that for the first 6 months, NEVs outsold ICE vehicles in China for the first time. So that pendulum has swung. And then you look at the graphite restrictions and the tariffs that are now on Chinese graphite into the United States. So as Elon is struggling to really gain any footing for Tesla in the United States, because now let's list the ways: charging infrastructure subsidies or investment from the US government will be canceled.
in
September
September.
30th, $7,500 purchase subsidy gone. Now, and Tesla, because they're the only dedicated BEV maker besides a Rivian and a Lucid, who let's not even talk about because their volumes are so low, their graphite costs are going to double because the tariff is 93.7 or 93.5%. So effectively doubling graphite. And the graphite is about 8% of a battery's cost or something like that. I think I was reading
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
Tesla's gonna need a hug in the United States, like big time. And this on the heels of GM and Ford talking
Yeah.
about building cells in Tennessee, LFP cells in
Oh,
Tennessee, and then the LMR coming in 27. And everything in the United States is pointing to we don't want clean energy vehicles. At least the government is saying that.
yeah.
So,
I thought you were going to the Ford Bronco
oh,
EV,
we'll
and
circle
right
back
there.
on that. But I was just talking about U.S. for U.S.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
also I also posted that because Buick. Let's talk about it then. So
Yeah.
Buick announced that they were going to launch 6 new vehicles, NEVs, into the China market. They've now shown off 2 of them. One of them was the Electra E5, and they just launched this week.
The
Um,
new sub brand Electra.
yes, a large sedan, which is about the
Mm-hmm.
size of a Model S,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an E-Rev.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so Buick doesn't have any E-Revs in the United States, by the way. They don't have any BEVs either. So 4 more coming from Buick this year. And the E7, was it called the E7? Uh, uh, it's going to be less than 300,000 RMB. So that'll compete. Which are the large sedans? So it'll compete against the NEOs and things like that.
ET7.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, those kind of sedans.
then Ford announced that it's launching a BEV version of the Bronco and Bronco Sport. But if you look at the pictures from they submitted to MIT, the electric Bronco looks a little bit different than the
Mm-hmm.
ICE Bronco. So I don't know if that's on purpose or they had to do it because of the powertrain change. But what do you think?
No, I think it's actually in this sub segment of this box kind of off-roady, which has also become popular. And so I think it's a tactical move, kind of the Mustang Mach-E is long forgotten, right? I mean, it was a huge thing back in 2021, but it never got anywhere. So I think they're trying to build on the Bronco IP, and the boxy um, segment. Uh, I think which is a smarter things to do, but
And we may
and
have
both of
talked
these,
about this lay offline, not on the show, but at Shanghai Auto, that was pretty much the only thing that the Chinese consumers wanted to look at, the Bronco, at the
yeah,
Ford booth. They weren't
and
really looking at anything else at the Ford booth except the Bronco.
yeah, and both. I'm hearing both. We should talk about Momenta again because Momenta got that new deal with
BMW.
BMW, right? Um, these things will probably have some sort of Chinese tech on ADAS. It could be Momenta, it could be somebody else, but
Buick is
um,
using Momenta.
right, that we know because GM is an investor, right?
300
They,
million in
yeah,
2021.
yeah, and now both BMW and the upcoming CLA will have Momenta in the Chinese market at least. And Audi is choosing Huawei. So it seems to be a secret sauce for hopefully success, but we'll see.
Here's the key, Lay. You you know, I mentioned last week that I hope foreign OEM leadership management were watching the U7 launch, taking notes. And this is also to me a canary in the coal mine that the foreign automakers, not only because they have to, because there's restrictions, but because they can't do it in the time frame necessary to put a competitive product in the China market. So you look at Volkswagen, you look at Stellantis now, and GM had made the investment a while ago, so that was kind of planned. But now we're starting to see the vehicles that are using Momenta technology. So all of these foreign entities in China are buying. There's the make, there's the buy. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to put products in this year and next year, they have to buy that technology and then ram it in, cram it into their products. I feel in the United States that they're going to need to buy as well. The urgency isn't as much, but connected vehicles, because every new vehicle in China has virtually L2 plus. So these are the things that will bleed over into products in Europe and the United States or North America.
Yeah, and we have the other ones. The right Tesla announced the Model YL, and then immediately Ito came out with a similar title. See you in the fall. The S9T, the Shangjie, which is the fifth under the HEMA, right, with SAIC motor. It's like see you in the fall, see you in September. And then at the end of this month, right, the i8 launches, the Onvo L90 launches, delivery start. And then in the fall, right, September-ish, the Model YL. It'll be interesting to see how that does, or how that add or support the Model Y volume. Because I think a lot of people don't believe that third row, given a little bit stretch on the end. It's to me, I've never really liked 3-row SUVs anyways. But the YL, I mean, that L is right, you put a grain of salt on that L.
So for those wondering, the Model Y, the Model YL, the difference is around 8 inches, and they're going to add a third row to that, and it's effectively putting that third row where the trunk is.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
current
space
the current trunk.
seems to be the space is a big selling point these days, especially on the L90. And it's got class leading wheelbase among all of these that we mentioned.
So typically in vehicle design, the reason you bring that up, Lei, longer wheelbase means more space, because if you're pushing out to the ends, pushing the tires out to the edges of the vehicle, number one, you have a bit more stability when you're driving and steering, and then it just creates more space inside the vehicle for the passengers, generally speaking, because 20 years ago, when I sat in the back seat when my dad was driving, the door had the curve because that's where the rear wheel well was. Now
Yep,
in the
yep.
passenger seat, there's no wheel well, and so we have these spaces.
Yeah, nostalgic.
So we talked about the graphite. We talked about the L90 a bit. We've talked about all these crossover SUVs. What else should we talk about? We talked about the
Robotaxi on
Bronco.
your part of the world. That was interesting because Tesla showed a picture that we don't have to go into detail with, but people who know about it know what I'm talking about. And then Waymo came right back and says, "Take that. I got a bigger area." And then Tesla will
So
probably come back and say,
for
you
those
know,
wondering and are on X, Elon had posted a derogatory. It was a picture of Tesla's area,
service
that
area.
their service area for their Robotaxi, and it was in the shape of something. And
Yeah.
so the other thing that we should talk about from a Robotaxi standpoint, and I texted our good friend Nick Twerk,
Yeah, that
Lucid,
was kind of
Uber,
surprising.
and
Okay.
Neuro.
Yeah.
So 300 million investment, 20,000?
20,000 over 6 years.
Yeah. So for the Gravity, and they had an actual picture of a Gravity with the LiDAR and the cameras on it. So I think that's big. Uber is really trying to be the picks and shovels guys. They want to work with everybody, and they're moving aggressively globally. And let's emphasize that, because they also have partnerships with WeRide, Pony, Wave, which is a UK robotaxi company. So it's not like they're favoring American companies. So I think that was big. Whether it's more symbolic, we'll have to see whether or not the baby Gravity gets any volume, because I I will like Rivian and Lucid's chances a lot better when they're at 20, 30, 40,000 units a month.
Yeah, and then Uber also teamed up with Baidu.
Yes, that's right.
So they're, I mean, if we talk about Waymo kind of working with Uber in a way, and then Waymo with Zeekr, Uber with the three Chinese robotaxi companies, and then now Lucid. It's a wide variety of players,
More and
both
more
from China and the
people
US. Yeah.
are posting about the Zeekers that they're seeing as Waymo vehicles in California. So
Yeah, I didn't see one in Phoenix when I was there. Maybe they were running around somewhere that secretively, but um, yeah.
anyways,
And
maybe
you
this
know
is a
the
short one. Anything
yeah, you know
else?
the Faraday Future announced the Super One, the FX Super One,
Yeah.
and most of the I don't know if you saw this. Most of the comments have been, "This is a way Lanshan MPV that they brought over and kind of rebadged it or something with the big
Sure.
huge screen in the
And
middle."
they said they
Uh,
raised 100 million.
yeah,
So
gotta respect YT. I mean, he's just
that's the
uh,
definition of grinding. That's the definition of
surviving. He's
grinding.
just
Yes.
surviving and then just right, die another day.
So rather than try to think of things to talk about, let's go to comments. Apreza, as I mentioned, said 60% of vehicles sold in China were NEVs. And what I'd written in
Oh,
the newsletter, go ahead.
the other big number I think is quite huge in my opinion is that one out of every vehicle on the road in China is an NEV, based on the Ministry of Public Security number
One
that
out of
came
what?
out. One out of every 10 automobiles in China now is an NEV. Roughly 37 million out of the 370 million vehicles on the roads. I think that's very significant.
So, Apreza, I'd written in the newsletter that this makes the 60%. I don't actually know if it's 60%. It's close, but for the foreign legacy automakers doing business in China, it really puts them in a precarious position because how much longer can they straddle and invest in ICE technology and also BEV and EREV and PHEV technology because they don't have endless amounts of capital. And if they want to truly be a player in the China market, then sooner rather than later, they need to make that full commitment. Um, and so, which for the American companies seems even more challenging now with the lack of any incentive to purchase an NEV in the United States. So,
Yes.
SPX, good morning. He always polite, greeting us. As always, SPX, appreciate you joining. His question or his comment: what's the high level ADAS system comparison among Momenta, Huawei, Waymo, and God's Eye in their strength and weakness? How would you rank them in current capability and potential to eventual L5 ADAS? I'll
Oh,
start.
that's yeah. Go ahead.
So, so first of all, Huawei has, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they have not moved into the robotaxi space. They're primarily in the
Not yet.
intelligent driving space.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think it's important, Momenta is doing a little bit of both, but it looks like they're, in order to commercialize sooner or pull in commercialization, they're doing intelligent driving. But I
Yeah.
think they were originally to be a robotaxi company. So I almost feel that we need to separate some of these companies like the Waymos and the
Yep.
Momentas, because God's Eye is only currently um, uh, a BYD intelligent driving system. I've gotten a chance to ride God's Eye. I was really impressed. I wasn't expecting much, but this was during Beijing traffic. It was pretty significant, and it wasn't like this area like Yizhuang where it's kind of slow moving, right? It was
Hmm.
in Wudao area. So
Oh
I
yeah,
was pretty
that's
impressed. Have
a lot of
not
traffic.
tried Momenta yet. Have not tried Momenta, so I can't tell you that. Have tried a Huawei system a while ago, but um, so I still think Ponies is pretty good. Um, when I'm back in Beijing, we'll try Baidu again, Lei and stuff like that. But what do you think?
Oh, if I had to rank, I'd probably put Momenta at the top, purely in terms of Momenta
Momentum.
Momenta's momentum. I definitely put it at the top because everybody seems to be signing up. I mean, the
BYD,
Toyota, the
GM,
GM,
Toyota,
exactly,
BMW.
Mercedes, right? I mean, there's these major automakers from every part of the world, Japan, Germany, American automakers, Chinese companies, BYD. Um, and obviously BYD has uh, its own system, right? God's Eye, but it also has the Momentas in some of the other vehicles. So I probably put Momenta purely in terms of smart assisted driving. Outside of the Li Autos, the Xpengs, the Neos, which have their own systems, right? Um, yeah, but if we're talking about Waymo, Pony, I mean that's a different story.
I still think Waymo's probably the best. So
Yeah, same here. I mean, based on Phoenix, I think it's a grain of salt because Phoenix is you know the operational design domain is much. I'd say it's a slightly easier because of the weather. Because during the day there's nobody out on the roads because it's so hot.
but we
Makes it a
tried
little
them
bit easier.
in
Yeah,
LA and San Francisco. So
yeah,
um,
yeah. So yeah, um,
Apreza
uh,
writes, I hope someone makes a compact MPV, especially for the Southeast Asia market. I think that's a Leap Motor thing.
Lead Motor or
Uh,
BYD. I don't know. You know.
okay, so
Yeah.
Riz, and I'll let you answer this first, Lay gents. Do we think the L90 sales will eventually surpass the L60? Is the large SUV market that big in China
It
to
has
absorb all these 6, 7 seaters?
it has the potential, but I would say my minimum if L90 does 5,000 a month, I probably give it a B. If it does 10,000 a month, I give it a A. That's
How
my
I would
minimum. That's my expectation.
how I would look at this, Riz, is that unfortunately, because of the aggressive pricing of the L90, the L60 is likely going to get squeezed because
I
for go ahead.
no, I probably would say yeah, it will, but I think also the ES6 will get squeezed. The line's getting too much blurred, I think.
So you're referring to the Neo ES6.
Yeah, Neo
Okay.
ES6.
Just to clear that up. So
Yeah.
Riz, what's important about the China market and always important to remember is that this year the China market will be larger than the European and the US markets combined. Okay, so when you ask, is the large SUV market that big in China? I think we need to look at that relatively to the other markets. And it isn't huge for China, but it makes markets in other parts of the world.
Uh, the other way to kind of answer this question is a lot is riding on the L90, but it does have the pieces in place for it to become a blockbuster model. Whether it
And
does or not, then we'll see in a few months. It's ready to deliver. I mean, there's tons of vehicles already produced. Uh,
it's announced on Sunday, deliver on Monday.
yeah, and then there's no official numbers, but it seems to be in the 30 some thousand range in terms of orders. So, but um, we'll see.
The last thing I'll say, Riz, about this is that at least in the United States, where you see Tahoes, you see X7s, you see Expeditions, Navigators, escalates quite often. It's not as the large stuff is not as prevalent in China as in the United States.
The interesting things I always think, I could be wrong, but I always think this IA and the Onvo L90 are probably in the biggest rivalry in that segment, even though the pricings are completely different. So if the IA does well than the Onvo L90,
Oh
then
man, forget about
I,
it.
I don't know, like something's wrong then.
I can't imagine that being the
I
case
can't imagine
because
that.
of the pricing discrepancy between the two.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
which is
what
the
we
interesting to watch.
what we will perceive because we don't know what the IH's pricing yet is,
Because
but
mega recent weeks and months, the sales are actually ticking up.
yep.
And when they started selling mega, it kind of flopped, right? And now actually sales are picking up. And the Onvo L60 is actually, I don't know, doing slightly better than before.
I think we were being tough on the Mega because it's an 800,000 RMB MPV, large SUV. So the numbers were not
I think they're
large, but
selling
respectable.
over
Respectable.
3,000 a month now,
Yeah.
which is significant.
I really like the Mega. So
Yeah. And then the fact that the I series, the IA and the i6 carries that over,
it
you know,
it I I like the earlier designs of the Li Auto vehicles more than the current designs of some of the vehicles. So
yeah.
um,
Um,
SSJJ005 says the L90 starting price is crazy. There is no way Onvo can make money by selling 6-seater pure EV SUV under 300,000. It is impossible.
NIO is trying
So
to make money by the end of the year, so let's have that in mind.
accounting
Is it gonna,
wise,
accounting wise, is it gonna depend on the L90? Some of it, but I think we also have to see what the NIO brand uh, does, right? What's in front of us is the expectations that Li Bin said himself: 20,000 units of NIO and 20,000 units of Onvo.
so one last thing I'll say about the i8. There is immediate pressure to do a price cut before announcing the price. So my guess is it'll be 250-ish in order to at least be in the same ballpark. Because if it's at 300, then
Well, the
I
the L6 starts at, I think, 250. I can't imagine the i8 go down that much,
oh.
right?
So and Li Auto is going to be a bit hamstrung because of all the emphasis on trying to get out of the price war from the central government.
Yeah. Uh,
So Mike writes, I hope Ford gets inspired by the Bronco new energy and brings it here in 2028. Well, Mike, that assumes that the tariffs go away or there are some exceptions made.
let's first get
Because
that LFP plan going.
yeah. So, oh man, I forgot to do this. So I was in St. Joseph's, Michigan, which is on Lake Michigan,
Up
basically
north.
other side of Chicago. Okay, on the west
Oh,
side
okay.
of at a lacrosse tournament, and I was on I-94 driving west, and there's a detour. And guess where it took me? It took me right past Marshall, Michigan, and I drove right by the Ford factory.
Oh, how was it looking? Is it nearly done, or is it half
I
baked,
didn't see
or
that
what?
many Chinese people. I'll be honest, I didn't see that many Chinese people. But anyways, it's off.
Uh,
So it was just some random coincidence because I'm driving And I don't even know I'm in Marshall, Michigan. And my GPS says there's an accident ahead. Take this detour, it'll save you 6 minutes. And so I took it. And then I see this sign and I see this factory.
You could actually go
Probably,
into the town of Marshall, or
yeah. So I drove in. It was like a one of those uh business things so yeah, it was a weird because there's a lot of construction.
complex.
Michigan
Yeah,
always has
yeah,
construction.
yeah,
But anyways, so I
yeah.
drove by the Marshall, Michigan factory, which rolls cells, which is supposed to be rolling cells with CATL technology. So, anyways,
Cool, cool,
Riz,
cool.
they're running around in Ningbo making their way to Phoenix. So he's talking about the Zeekers, having driven
Well,
the
the Zeekers,
L60.
okay, so the Zeekers will have those Waymo drivers fitted in that plant in Mesa, right?
in
Arizona, right?
outside of Phoenix or something like that.
Phoenix. Yeah.
So,
So yeah,
well, they currently ship them bare bones, and then Alphabet or Waymo fits them with all the sensors
in
and stuff.
in that plant with the Magna in Mesa. Yeah.
So, Riz, having driven the L60 in Jiading, Shanghai back in April, they're such a quality product, so can only imagine the L90 would be top notch. Getting closer to NEO brand, as you say, gents. Thanks. So, right on.
It's very blurred. It's yeah. For that money, what you get is extremely undeserving for to do that. I mean, it's crazy to think about
But
it.
so in the grand scheme of things, whoever had written about they can't make money on 200,000, who wrote that? SJ. Um, you're absolutely right, SJ. But what they're hoping for is for the weaker players to exit the market. They can stabilize pricing. The idea would be less players so they could push up pricing a little bit. Now, there's never going to be this less non-competitive they're hoping a less competitive environment, not a non-competitive environment. But right now, to your point, 200,000 for a seven-seater, three-row large SUV is just bonkers, and it's not sustainable. So what they're trying to do is make the market healthy so that and also remember that if your utilization rate is over 80% at the factory, then you can eke out some margin. But you know,
Yeah.
anyways, that's all I have, and I think that's all you have, Lei, unless you want to add
Yeah.
anything.
No,
So
I tried to catch a glimpse of Jensen Huang, but I did not succeed. But I did walk around the supply chain expo, and guess who was exhibiting?
who's this?
Tesla.
Nice.
And all they were doing is doing live streaming at the stand with the Model Y and the Model 3. Every time I open my WeChat, Tesla is doing live streaming. I don't think any other brand does that. They're constantly live streaming the current incentives, answering questions.
They're
Um,
flooding the zone.
yeah, yeah. So,
That's probably
uh,
one of the only ways they can stay in
but
the consciousness of the Chinese consumer.
yeah, but I'm hearing this, like I tweeted, that this supply chain expo is basically the northern CIIE.
Right.
I talked to some of the people at the stand. They say, "Oh, it's it's GR government pushed that they had to be there, kind of
GR is government relations.
relations." Yeah. So that's why you don't see Tesla exhibiting at auto shows in China, at least not in Beijing or Shanghai anymore. But they do appear at these type of shows for some reason.
To
Uh,
support the government.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's
All right, everyone. Thanks as always for joining us. We will talk with you all. Hopefully, it looks like I should be able to do it next Friday again.
same
So
time, no
we will
problem for me.
talk with you
So
all next week. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Everyone have a good weekend.
Likewise. Bye bye.